If your kidneys are giving you trouble, if you feel that heaviness in your lower back by evening, or you wake in the night just to use the bathroom one more time, I want you to listen carefully to what I am about to share with you. There is a small, deep red fruit that has been part of our community's evening routine for longer than I have been alive, and when you eat a handful of it before you lay your head down at night, it does something quietly remarkable for your kidneys while you sleep. Most doctors will never bring this up. They will hand you a pill, maybe two, and send you on your way. But this fruit works with your body the way a good neighbor works alongside you at harvest, gently, steadily, and without asking for anything in return. Before I go any further, do me a kindness. Tell me your age down in the comments. I would like to know who is sitting with me today. My name is Amos Stoltzfus, and I have spent the better part of 30 years as a remedy keeper in our community. That is not a title you earn from a university. It is a responsibility handed to you by people who trust you, and by the ones who came before you, and pressed a worn notebook into your hands and said, "Here, learn this well." Everything I share with you comes from that place, from kitchens and root cellars and quiet conversations with men and women who understood the plants the way a wheelwright understands wood. Now let me talk to you plainly about your kidneys, because most folks do not think about them until something goes wrong, and by then, the trouble has had a long head start. Your kidneys are like two small wells deep inside your body. All day and all night, they filter your blood, pulling out the waste, the things your body does not need, and sending them on their way. When those wells are clean and clear, you feel good. You sleep well. Your energy holds through the afternoon. But when those wells start to silt up, when tiny crystals and acids and waste begin to collect along the walls, everything slows down. You might notice your ankles swelling by supper time. You might feel a dull ache in your back that you cannot quite explain. You might find yourself getting up 2, 3, 4 times in the night and still feeling like things are not flowing the way they should. That silting up does not happen overnight. It builds slowly, the way mud settles at the bottom of a stream after a long dry spell. And what most people do not realize is that the body is asking for help long before the real damage sets in. It is sending you small signals, and if you know what to listen for, you can answer those signals with something as simple as a fruit you eat before bed. The fruit I am talking about is the tart cherry. Not the sweet cherries you see piled high at the grocery store in summer, the ones that are candy red and taste like sugar. I am talking about the small, dark, sour cherry, the kind that makes your mouth pucker just a little, the kind our grandmothers used in pies and preserves and, more importantly, in remedies they mixed by lamplight. In our community, tart cherries have been called kidney berries by some of the older women, and that name did not come from nowhere. It came from generations of watching what happened when folks who were struggling with their waterworks, with their swelling, with that deep low back ache, started eating a small handful of these cherries in the evening. And then, slowly, steadily, things began to change. Let me tell you what this fruit actually does inside your body when you eat it before sleep, because this is where it gets truly interesting. Tart cherries are rich in something called anthocyanins. Now, I am not a man who likes to throw around fancy words, so think of anthocyanins this way. Imagine your kidneys are those two small wells I described, and imagine the walls of those wells have become rough and irritated, a little inflamed, the way your hands get raw after a long day of splitting wood in cold weather. Anthocyanins work like a soothing balm rubbed into those rough walls. They calm the irritation. They ease the swelling inside the tiny filtering channels of the kidney. And when that inflammation goes down, the wells can do their job again. The water flows clean. The waste moves out the way it is supposed to. You are not getting up 4 times a night because your body is finally processing things efficiently while you rest. But here is the part that truly matters to me, and the reason I believe this fruit belongs in your evening routine. Tart cherries also help your body manage something called uric acid. Now, uric acid is one of those things that builds up quietly, like frost on a window pane. You do not notice it at first. But over time, if your kidneys cannot clear it well enough, that uric acid forms tiny, sharp crystals. Those crystals can settle in your joints, in your toes, in your feet, and that is when you start to feel real pain. They can also put a terrible burden on your kidneys themselves, making those filters work harder and harder just to keep up. Tart cherries help the body break down and flush out uric acid before it ever gets a chance to crystallize. And that is exactly why the Amish have used them for generations. Our people understood, long before any laboratory put a name to it, that this small, sour fruit kept the waterworks running clean and kept the joints from locking up with pain. I remember old Eli Mast, who lived down the road from my grandfather's farm. Eli was 73 years old, and he had gotten to the point where he dreaded the nighttime. He told my grandmother once that he was up 5, 6 times a night, and his back ached so badly by morning he could barely straighten up to do the milking. My grandmother, God rest her, she did not say much. She just started sending over a small jar of preserved tart cherries every week, and she told Eli to eat a good spoonful each evening after supper, right before he settled in for the night. Eli was a stubborn man, but he was also a tired man, and tired will win over stubborn every time. He started eating those cherries. Within 3 weeks, he told my grandfather that he was only getting up once in the night. Within 2 months, his back did not ache the way it had. He kept eating those cherries every evening for the rest of his years, and he never stopped telling people about it. That is the kind of quiet result that does not make the newspapers, but it changes a life. Now let me tell you the best way to use tart cherries for your kidneys, because this matters. If you can get fresh tart cherries in season, that is wonderful. Eat a small handful, about 20 to 25 cherries, in the evening after your last meal. Chew them slowly. Let your body receive them. If fresh tart cherries are not available to you, and for most of the year they will not be, the next best thing is pure tart cherry juice with no added sugar. Pour yourself about 8 ounces, a small glass, and drink it in the evening, an hour or so before bed. The reason I say before bed is not just tradition. Your kidneys do some of their deepest work while you sleep. Your body is at rest, your blood pressure comes down naturally, and those 2 small wells can filter and clean without competing with all the activity of your waking hours. When you give them the tart cherry right before that restful period, you are giving them the tool they need at the exact moment they can use it best. If this is bringing you comfort today, if something in these words is speaking to a trouble you have been carrying quietly, I would be grateful if you would tap that subscribe button and sit with me a while longer. I share a new remedy every week, the old ways, the ones that have carried our community through generations, and I would be honored to have you here. Now, there is another way to use tart cherries that some of the women in our community have passed down, and I want to share it with you because it is especially good for those whose stomachs are a bit sensitive. You can make a simple tart cherry tea. Take a small handful of dried tart cherries, about 2 tablespoons, and place them in a cup. Pour hot water over them, not a hard boil, but water that has just come off the boil and settled for a minute. Let it steep for 10 minutes. The water will turn a beautiful deep red, almost the color of a garnet. Drink it warm, slowly, in the evening. You can eat the softened cherries at the bottom of the cup when you are done. This method is gentler on the stomach and still delivers those same soothing compounds to your kidneys. Some folks add a small piece of fresh ginger to the cup, no bigger than your thumbnail, and that is fine. Ginger is a friend to the kidneys in its own right, and the two work well together. I do want to say something plainly here, because it is important. What I share with you is the old wisdom of our community, handed down from people who lived close to the land and paid careful attention to what the plants could do. I believe in it deeply. But you know your own body better than anyone, and if you are dealing with something serious, if your doctor has spoken to you about your kidneys or you are taking medicines, use your good judgment. Talk to someone you trust about your health. The old ways and modern care do not have to be enemies. A wise person uses every good tool available. Now I want to tell you about one more thing tart cherries do that ties directly to kidney health, and it is something most people overlook entirely: sleep. Tart cherries are one of the only natural food sources of melatonin, the very substance your body uses to regulate its sleep. And here is why that matters for your kidneys. Poor sleep is one of the worst things for kidney function. When you do not sleep well, your blood pressure stays elevated through the night, and that puts continuous pressure on those delicate filters. Over time, that pressure damages them. Tart cherries help you fall asleep more naturally and stay asleep more deeply, and while you are in that deep rest, your kidneys are working under the best possible conditions: low pressure, good blood flow, no stress hormones rushing through. It is like the difference between trying to clean a barn during a windstorm and cleaning it on a calm, quiet morning. The cherries give your body the calm morning. There was a woman in our community, Ruth, 68 years old, who had struggled with sleep for years. She would lie awake listening to the clock, and by morning she felt worse than when she went to bed. Her ankles were swollen most days, and she had been told her kidneys were not working as well as they should. She started drinking a small glass of tart cherry juice each evening, not expecting much, just willing to try. Within a couple of weeks, she told me she was sleeping through the night for the first time in years. And the swelling in her ankles, it began to go down. Not all at once, slowly, the way good things happen. But it went down. She said to me, "Amos, I think my body just needed the rest to heal itself." And I believe she was right. If you are going to make tart cherries part of your evening, let me give you a few gentle cautions, the way I would if you were sitting at my kitchen table. Start slowly. If you have never eaten tart cherries regularly, begin with a smaller portion, maybe 10 cherries or half a glass of juice, and let your body get comfortable with it over a week or two. Some folks find that tart cherries loosen the bowels a little at first, and that is just your body adjusting. Also, choose your juice carefully. You want pure tart cherry juice, 100%, with nothing added. Many of the bottles you will find at the store have sugar or apple juice blended in, and sugar is no friend to the kidneys. Read the label. If it says anything other than tart cherry juice, set it back on the shelf. Let me bring this back around to where we started. Your kidneys are working for you every single hour of every single day, and they ask for very little in return. A small handful of tart cherries or a glass of pure tart cherry juice in the evening is one of the simplest, most generous things you can do for them. It calms the inflammation in those delicate filters. It helps clear out the uric acid before it causes trouble. It brings on a deeper, more restful sleep, so your kidneys can do their best work in peace. And this is not something a laboratory invented last year. This is something our community has understood for generations, passed from grandmother to granddaughter, from remedy keeper to remedy keeper, in kitchens lit by oil lamps long before anyone thought to put it in a study. You are not helpless in this. That is what I want you to carry with you tonight. Your body knows how to heal when you give it the right things. And sometimes the right thing is as humble and honest as a small, sour cherry eaten before you close your eyes. Take care of yourself the way you would take care of someone you love, gently and without waiting for permission. If you found something useful here today, I would be honored if you would subscribe to this channel. Next time, I have a remedy for you that the old folks in our community called the root that cleans the blood, and I think it will speak to many of you. Until then, be well, go slow, and trust the old ways. They have not forgotten you.